Hey guys, it's Nathan from the Karting Kids. Sadly, Lorenzo won't be joining us today, but today we're going to be interviewing Connor. Please introduce yourself.
Well, hi everyone. First off, thank you, Nathan, for having me. I've seen all the videos online, and I was looking forward to coming on here today. But to everybody who doesn't know me, my name's Connor Bell. Race car driver for a few years now, making some steps up this year. So I'm excited to talk about it today.
Do you remember when we first met?
I do, yes. It was I believe Mosport 2023 at the start of the season on the May 24 weekend. I remember we were loading up the car, and you and your dad came over after doing some karting, and we met you there, had you jump in the car, take some pictures, and that was a moment that definitely stuck out with me. I love, showing people that are a bit newer to the scene what these cars would look like, sort of how it feels to sit in them. Yeah, I definitely remember that, and that was definitely a moment that brightened up my weekend for sure.
Do you still have your Subaru race car?
I don't actually. So we've sold both of them, me and my brother's car, just recently in the past month or two. Um, that was, sort of moving away from those cars, that series, and moving into a bigger series for this year, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a moment. But unfortunately, no more Subarus for us.
My dad used to have a Subaru and he loved driving it in the snow. And one time there's a hole in the muffler and it sounded more like a race car. And I didn't want him to fix it, but then the hole got really big and it got really loud.
Yeah, the Subarus can get loud, especially if you're not running a muffler or a cat on them. I remember I would always get complaints on track that my car was just a little bit too loud. So we were definitely pushing the limit there, but they can sound good when they're no muffler.
Your race car was standard. Who taught you to drive it?
I actually kind of taught myself. I feel like I had never driven standard until my first track day. That was in a spec Miata, and we basically just picked it up, went to the track for a test day, and I did my first lap learning manuals. I got a couple tips from my dad. He's been driving manual most of his life, but yeah, just basically jumped in, had to learn quickly, and it was a fun experience for sure.
Most drivers started in karting. Did you?
I did start in karting, so I probably started at around 10 years old with some Briggs 206 racing at some local tracks. So I'm not sure if you'd be familiar with Quillon and Lombardy. Um, Actually, I guess those are a little bit far from you, but some local tracks here. Basically, some championships over the course of the summer. Probably did 2 to 3 years of karting. Never went to the national level or anything like that. I wasn't taking it too seriously at the time. But I did start out with karting and definitely learned a lot of fundamentals about racing there.
Were you any good?
Um, I would say I was okay. I never put myself up against those top drivers in Canada, so I'm not sure how good I actually was. But there's most of those trophies back there are from karting, so I think I did all right.
Have you ever been scared while racing?
Yes, for sure. I think more towards when I first started jumping into full size cars. So my first track day was in a pretty fast car, probably too fast of a car, if I'm being honest, a prototype one car. So I was 15 at the time, and it was literally my first time ever on a real racetrack. So I was definitely pretty scared there, just the sheer speed of the car. But as you get more and more used to, driving cars wheel to wheel with opponents on the track, you kind of get used to the feeling. But I think that sort of those pre-race nerves when you're sitting on the grid are always going to be there as the race car driver. So you kind of just have to embrace them. And I think it can actually help you with that kind of adrenaline flowing before you get into the race. It's something that you can definitely use to your advantage.
Has there ever been a big crash that you couldn't avoid?
Big crash. Not that I couldn't avoid. I've definitely had some crashes that I could have avoided. So yeah, some moments that I think I could have done a better job at just not putting myself in a certain position. Some that come to mind would be the Toronto Indy in 2023. I had two incidents there, unfortunately, in one weekend. Could have, put my car in a different position, not pushed as hard, stuff like that. Same thing goes for 1 year at the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières. There were some mistakes made there, but in general, I don't think there's any incidents I couldn't have avoided.
Did you just spin out by yourself or did you like crash with another driver?
The Toronto Indy, I spun once in the rain, just barely clipped the wall. I was actually able to keep going that race and without much major damage. And then the third race at Toronto Indy, I crashed with another driver into the final corner. That unfortunately I was on for a second place that race, so I was a little bit frustrated that we crashed. But yeah, I'd say a little bit of both for sure.
I saw your Instagram post about driving in the NASCAR Canadian Series. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm super super excited. It's a big step up in my career, racing at the top of Canadian motorsports. So I know there's a lot of good drivers in there. The series is very well done. There's a big broadcast. There's going to be thousands of spectators at Calabogie where I'm going to be doing my debut race. So I'm really excited, looking forward to it, and mainly I'm just trying to see how I stack up against the best drivers in Canada. So it should be a good experience.
How do you think you're gonna do? You think you're gonna be close to winning or be at like around the back?
I would hope I'm close to the front. I'm going to be putting in a lot of test days before the event. I guess my goal is probably a top five, top six. We'll see. There's drivers in that field that have run an IndyCar, the Daytona 500, Xfinity, all sorts of series like that. So the talent's there. It's just, I've never put myself up against competition like that. So the goal is a top five, but we'll just have to see on qualifying day where I end up.
Why did you decide to go the NASCAR route instead of like F1 or Indy?
So I think for F1, I'm a little bit old already, even just at 19. I probably could have been or should have been in Europe a few years back if I wanted to have a chance. And also the, funding that's required for that route is quite significant. So chose the NASCAR route because there's quite a bit of, coverage on social media, like I said, with the broadcast, stuff like that. So you're able to get seen that way. It's more cost effective, we'll call it, and also the name NASCAR I think helps a lot for finding funding, sponsors, and so on. So I'd say those are the main reasons why I chose NASCAR.
Okay, our next questions are from our followers. If you could design any racetrack, what feature would it have that others don't?
What feature would it have that others don't? I think I would make some pretty crazy elevation changes. I know, some tracks like Bathurst, Laguna Seca obviously have big drops like the corkscrew stuff like that. I think I'd have a few of those in my track just to spice things up a little bit. And I'm gonna say no runoff, just to make it a little bit more challenging for drivers. So whether that's walls, kind of mixing in some street circuit elements, or big gravel traps right on the exit of corners, just something to challenge drivers as much as possible, because I think that really separates those good drivers from the great ones.
If you could trade places with any like driver in history for one race, who would you choose and why?
I think I would probably choose Max Verstappen at the end of 2021 when he was battling Lewis Hamilton for the championship at Abu Dhabi. I would choose that just because, as a driver in Max's position, I'm a Max Verstappen fan, by the way, but but I think I would put myself in his shoes just because you run the whole race, basically thinking your championship is over, and then depending on who you ask, unfortunate or fortunate situation at the end of the race. But I think having that last lap shootout is that's when you really get the adrenaline going as a racer, and I'd love to be put in that position just to get that feeling at crossing the finish line, making that last lap pass, and winning your first championship. I think that would be a really cool feeling.
Are you looking for a girlfriend?
um, Not right now. I think time is a little bit short at the moment, but yeah, I'd say not at the moment.
Let me say this now to all our followers. We will not be asking anyone we're interviewing about their dating life. Do you have any advice for any younger driver out there?
Yeah, I would say get on the social media stuff early. So in your case, for example, I'd say keep doing what you're doing with the podcast and all the content you're posting. It's it really is the key to success or moving forward in the current era of racing we're in. I think if you want to attract those sponsors, if you want to start developing your personal brand, making the content, posting it consistently, coming up with new ideas is really, really important. So that would be, I think, the biggest piece of advice for me is just post content, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter as long as you're either providing entertainment to people, some sort of value to them. Content is absolutely the way to go. So keep doing what you're doing.
Do you have an Instagram account or social media that you'd like to share for the people so they can go follow you?
Yeah. So Instagram, I think my username is connorbell.racing. And I have a YouTube channel that I've been working on as well, posting some coaching content for those that want to develop themselves as race car drivers. That's just Connor Bell. So there's some videos on there. I'm trying to be more consistent, trying to take my own advice that I just gave you by posting more. But yeah, I'd say those are the two main ones.
Do you have a Tinder account as well?
um, I used to, not anymore. Not anymore.
All right. Thanks, Connor, for doing this interview with me because Lorenzo isn't here. And yeah, that's basically a wrap for this interview. And I hope you can, like, hopefully get to the States in NASCAR and hopefully win a couple races and maybe even win the championship. So we'll just see how you do in the Canadian Series, and that's about it.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate you bringing me on today, and I wish you the best of luck for your season as well.
Hurry up.